The Kirk Cousins era in Atlanta could be reaching its final chapter, and the writing on the wall has never been clearer. Cousins was a no-show at OTAs. Voluntary? Sure. But let's not pretend this doesn't mean something. The man knows he's not the future of this team. Michael Penix Jr. is here. The torch is ready to be passed. And Cousins, he's already halfway out the door. Now listen, I want to hear from you. Are you done with the Cousins drama? Should the Falcons just rip the Band-Aid off, trade him, cut him, whatever it takes to move on? Because here's the truth. This team should be all in on Penix, all eyes on the rookie, all attention on building around him, not playing this awkward waiting game with a 36-year-old quarterback who doesn't even want to be here. Raheem Morris confirmed it. Kirk wasn't in the building. No surprise, he's been clear behind the scenes. If there's a chance to start somewhere else, he's gone. But now comes the real question. What happens next? Training camp is around the corner, and unless something changes, Cousins is still on the roster. For now. Will he show up? Probably. Why? Because he wants that paycheck, and skipping camp could hit him with fines. But this whole situation is hanging by a thread, and here's where it gets even more interesting. June 1st. That's the date to circle. After June 1st, Cousins' contract becomes way easier to move. The Falcons could get major cap relief. Teams like the Steelers could come calling, especially if they lose out on Aaron Rodgers or decide to pivot. Suddenly, that trade becomes very real. And here's the nightmare scenario. Penix struggles in preseason, media pressure builds, and suddenly people start saying, maybe go back to Cousins? No. That's how you derail a young QB before his career even starts. This can't be a distraction, not in a year where the Falcons are chasing a playoff spot and building a new identity. Even Pro Football Talk is sounding the alarm. They're reporting that Cousins wants out. He holds a no-trade clause, but it's obvious he's not trying to hang around and hold a clipboard. The Falcons want another team to pick up $20 million of his guaranteed salary. And even though GM Terry Fontenot is denying exact numbers are on the table, you can feel it. This deal is brewing. So now it's your turn. What should the Falcons do? Trade Cousins now? Wait until after June 1st? Or keep him and risk the drama all season long? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And while you're at it, rate your confidence in Michael Penix Jr. right now on a scale of 1 to 10. Let's settle this as a fan base. Because ready or not, the future is here, and his name is Michael Penix Jr. Let's be real. This whole mess starts at the top. The Falcons created this situation. They handed Kirk Cousins a massive contract. 4 years, nearly $180 million, and just 6 weeks later they drafted Michael Penix Jr. in the top 10. That move lit the fuse, and everyone in the building knew it. Cousins didn't see it coming, and as soon as the rookie flashed even a little promise, the calls started. Start Penix. Time to move on. And now, it's not a debate anymore. Michael Penix Jr. is the future, period. So what do you do with Kirk Cousins now? An aging QB, fresh off an Achilles, huge contract, zero leverage, and not a single clear destination unless one team steps in. Now here's the twist most fans overlook. It's not just about cap space, it's about cash flow. The cap number is locked in. Pre-June 1st or post-June 1st, the structure doesn't change much. But team owners care about cold, hard money. Arthur Blank gave Cousins a truckload of it, and if they're going to move him, you better believe he's telling the front office, I'm not paying him another dollar unless I have to. And the Falcons, they're stuck asking teams to eat a chunk of that money, but who's lining up to take on an aging QB with injury concerns and a $40 million cap hit? Well, maybe one team. All eyes now shift to Pittsburgh. The Steelers are in a strange place. Their quarterback situation is hanging in limbo with the shadow of Aaron Rodgers still looming large. Rumors say they're waiting, hoping Rodgers chooses them over retirement or some last-minute pivot. But what if he says no? What if Rodgers decides to walk away or hold out until another team loses their starter? Suddenly, the Steelers are back to square one, and that's when Kirk Cousins becomes Plan B. He's experienced. He's a stabilizer. And with that defense in Pittsburgh, he wouldn't have to be a hero, just solid. It's the only landing spot that makes sense. But here's the thing. If that's going to happen, it has to happen soon. The Falcons don't want this dragging into training camp. They don't want Penix looking over his shoulder. This deal, if it's coming, needs to drop fast. So now the question is on you. Should the Falcons wait for the Steelers to make a move? Or should they force the issue and trade Cousins now, even if it means eating some of that money? And Steelers fans, we see you. Would you take Cousins if Rodgers says no? Or do you roll with what you've got? Let's hear it in the comments. No holding back. Is Kirk Cousins worth the gamble, or is he just a ghost of what he used to be? Let's be honest. If the Steelers don't land Aaron Rodgers, are they really going to roll into Week 1 with Mason Rudolph or Will Howard under center? Come on. That's not a plan. That's waving the white flag in a year where Mike Tomlin's job is under the microscope. No playoff wins in years. The pressure is real. If Rodgers says no, Kirk Cousins becomes the next call, immediately. And look, I'm not saying Cousins is elite anymore. He's coming off a major injury, and yes, he's lost a step. But let's be clear, he's still a major upgrade over Mason Rudolph. This isn't even a debate. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN just dropped a major nugget. Kirk Cousins is officially on the Steelers' radar. According to league sources, Pittsburgh is at least keeping tabs on him. The Rodgers situation is still their top priority, but if that falls apart, Cousins is very much in play. The problem? His contract is a monster. $37.5 million in guarantees left between this year and next. Somebody's got to pay. And so far, Atlanta hasn't shown much flexibility. They're acting like, we're totally fine with keeping Cousins. We like him here. But come on, that's leverage theater. The Falcons know what time it is. They're trying to convince any desperate suitor to take on more of that money. That's all this is. A high-stakes business move, not a genuine plan to keep Cousins around. Let's not kid ourselves. Kirk Cousins isn't the guy anymore. Sure, he might be a decent backup, but no team wants to pay $40 million for a backup. The Falcons want him gone. They need him gone. And if Pittsburgh gets desperate, Atlanta wins. They get cap space. They get clarity. And most importantly, they finally get to say, this is Michael Penix Jr.'s team now. No distractions. No controversy. Let's ride. If the Falcons can swing a post-June 1st trade, it's a total win. They'd only eat $12.5 million in dead cap this year and save nearly $28 million in space. That's a clean slate. That's flexibility. Maybe even enough room to make a splash signing and boost the roster even further. So what could this trade actually look like? Here's the deal that's making the rounds. A conditional 5th-round pick that becomes a 3rd if Cousins hits certain marks, like leading the Steelers to the playoffs or hitting key stat milestones. That's it. That's all Atlanta should expect. And honestly, it's fair. This isn't about maximizing draft value. It's about getting rid of the contract, clearing the deck, and building around the future. This is Penix's team now. Let's not waste another second pretending otherwise. So here's your move. Falcons fans, would you take that trade? A late-round pick and a clean exit from the Cousins drama? And Steelers fans, if Rodgers says no, do you take Cousins as your starter, or do you risk it all on Mason Rudolph? Drop your takes in the comments right now. Let's hear it. What's the smart move, and who's getting the better end of this deal? But let's say this trade market stays quiet. No bites, no offers, and training camp is suddenly right around the corner. You're sitting there with a quarterback who doesn't want to be on your roster and a team that's trying to build around a new era. At some point, you have to rip the Band-Aid off, and maybe, just maybe, the answer is this. You cut Kirk Cousins. Now hold up, because the numbers ain't pretty. Post-June 1st, if Atlanta cuts Cousins, that $40 million cap hit actually balloons to $50 million this year, then drops to $25 million next year. Yeah, that stings. But ask yourself this, is $10 million worth all the drama? Your roster is basically set. You've already budgeted for $40 million. So is an extra $10 million the thing that's going to hold you back? Or is the constant noise around Cousins the bigger problem? Because if you keep him and week 1 comes around, the circus begins. What if Penix struggles? Should we go back to Kirk? That question will hang over every single loss, every interception, every timeout. This is not the kind of distraction you want hanging around a rookie quarterback's first full season. Sometimes cutting the cord is cleaner than dragging out the drama. You take the hit, you eat the cash, and you move on. Because what's the alternative? A $40 million backup who doesn't want to be here and reminds the locker room of what was. That's not a leader. That's an anchor. And let's be real, this is the NFL. Unpredictable is the norm.